Okay, so let's talk about someone who built incredible wealth and wisdom over a long life. Charles Thomas Munger.
Yes.
You might not know his name,
Right.
but you've likely benefited from his very sharp mind.
Yeah.
She passed away in 2023,
Sadly.
just shy of his 100th birthday.
Wow.
But his insights are timeless.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating about Munger is that
Yeah.
he never took a single course in economics or business, yet achieved extraordinary success in finance.
Interesting.
He really embodied the idea of a lifelong learner, constantly expanding his knowledge
Right.
and using it to make smart decisions.
So no fancy degrees,
No.
but he became this investing legend. So where did he even start?
He was born in 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
As a teenager, he worked at a grocery store owned by Warren Buffett's grandfather.
Oh, wow. So
Can you imagine those
Yeah.
two working there as teenagers?
what a small world.
Right.
It's like destiny was already putting them on a collision course.
Right. And then during World War II, he served in the U.S. Army Air Corps,
Okay.
becoming a second lieutenant.
Talk about adding to that diverse background.
Exactly.
So no business school, but he did go to college.
He did. He studied math at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
And then went on to study law at Harvard, graduating in 1948.
Okay.
What's really interesting is that he was initially rejected from Harvard.
Oh, rejected from Harvard.
Yeah, because he didn't have an undergraduate degree.
Wow. So how did he get in?
A family friend, impressed by Munger's abilities,
Okay.
intervened and convinced the school to admit him.
Wow. Someone saw his potential.
They did.
He must have done well there to end up such a success in finance.
He did. He actually became a successful lawyer,
Okay.
but his path soon intertwined with Warren Buffett,
Okay.
leading to one of the most legendary partnerships in business history.
I think that's where it gets really interesting. I know their partnership went way beyond finance.
Way
But if it was a true meeting of the minds
It was.
that changed how people think about business.
Absolutely. They met in 1959 at a luncheon,
Okay.
hit it off, and apparently just couldn't stop talking about investments.
Wow.
That's when Munger became vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway.
So Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett's investment company,
Yeah.
wasn't their approach to investing totally different? Like outside the box?
Yeah. Munger, for example, talked about the Lollapalooza effect.
Okay.
It explains how combining multiple psychological biases can lead to irrational behavior.
Interesting. Yeah.
Think of like Tupperware parties or auctions.
Okay, but how does that apply to investing?
Imagine an auction. The excitement, the fear of missing out, the social proof of others bidding all these things can make you pay more than you planned.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the Lollapalooza effect is like a bunch of psychological tricks playing on our emotions.
precisely.
Yeah.
Munger believed that understanding these biases was absolutely critical for making sound financial decisions.
So you need to step back
Yeah.
and analyze rationally.
Analyze rationally, exactly.
Okay.
That's the key to avoiding those big, expensive mistakes.
Right.
Instead of trying to be the smartest person in the room,
Right.
focus on not being stupid.
I like that he actually said that right.
He did.
Something about avoiding stupidity.
He famously said, "It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent."
Okay, I love that quote.
Yeah.
So it's about recognizing our limitations.
Absolutely.
Right, sticking to what we know.
Exactly. He called this your circle of competence. It's about knowing where your knowledge and experience give you an advantage and sticking within those boundaries.
So don't chase those shiny, risky bets that promise quick riches.
Right.
Stick with what you know.
That was a big part of his philosophy. Don't stray too far from what you understand. He was also a big believer in patience,
Yes.
often using poker analogies to illustrate his point.
Yeah, he said, life in part is like a poker game, wherein you have to learn to quit sometimes when holding a much-loved hand.
Right? Yes. Even if you love an investment, be ready to walk away if the situation changes.
Interesting.
Don't chase it. Wait for the right opportunity, the perfect pitch.
So discipline.
Yes.
And then hitting it hard when that perfect opportunity appears.
That's it. And Munger was also all about thinking for yourself, not just following the crowd.
Okay.
He called it contrarian thinking.
Oh, I love that. So what did he say about that?
He said, mimicking the herd invites regression to the mean.
Okay.
Basically, if you want to be exceptional, you can't just do what everyone else is doing.
Right. Chart your own course.
Exactly.
Even if it feels a little risky.
Yeah.
But he wasn't afraid to go against the grain, was he?
Absolutely not.
Like his criticism of cryptocurrencies?
Oh, yeah. He called them noxious poison.
Wow, strong words.
Strong words, but he believed them.
And Robinhood, the trading app, he had issues with that too.
He was very critical of it. He saw it as encouraging risky, gambling-like behavior in the stock market. He really wanted people to understand the importance of long-term investing.
So doing your research,
Yes.
understanding the fundamentals, and not treating the stock market like a casino.
Exactly. Now, beyond finance,
Okay.
Munger was also incredibly generous with his wealth, especially when it came to education.
He was a big believer in giving back. Tell me about his philanthropy.
He made huge donations to places like Stanford and the University of Michigan,
Wow.
often focusing on architecture and building spaces that fostered intellectual communities.
I find it fascinating that he had this passion for architecture,
I know.
even though he wasn't an architect himself.
He was a true Renaissance man.
Right.
Always learning and exploring new ideas.
Yeah, it wasn't just about looks for him, though.
No.
He really thought about how design could influence behavior and create the right kind of environment.
Exactly, and this thoughtful approach extended to his personal life as well.
Okay.
Despite his immense wealth, he lived a surprisingly modest life.
No private jets or yachts for Charlie Munger.
He lived in the same house in California for an incredible 70 years.
Wow. Talk about staying grounded.
He clearly had different priorities.
Yeah.
More focused on intellectual pursuits and family.
Okay.
And although he was a Republican, he held some unconventional political views, like his support for single-payer healthcare.
Again, thinking for himself, going against the grain, even when it came to politics.
It's a constant theme in his life. Independent thinking, intellectual curiosity, and a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom.
Okay, so for our listeners who are intrigued by this latticework of mental models idea,
Yes.
where should they start? What's a key takeaway they can apply to their lives?
Well, the first step is embracing lifelong learning.
Okay.
Be curious about everything. Explore lots of different subjects. Even those outside your usual areas of interest.
So read widely, take courses, attend lectures,
Yes.
just constantly expand that knowledge base.
Exactly. Munger believed that the more diverse your knowledge,
Okay.
the better you'll be at making sound judgments in every aspect of your life.
It's like having a whole toolbox at your disposal
Yeah.
instead of just a hammer.
I like that analogy. That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
Once you start building this lattice work, you've got to develop the ability to think critically and independently.
Don't just take everything at face value.
No.
Right. Question assumptions, look for evidence,
Absolutely.
and come to your own conclusions.
Exactly. Munger was great at recognizing and avoiding what he called false models.
Okay.
Those simplistic explanations that lead to bad choices.
We're bombarded with information these days.
We are.
It's easy to fall for those oversimplifications.
It really is. That's why it's crucial to develop the discipline to pause, reflect, and truly analyze information before making big decisions.
And to be willing to change your mind when new evidence comes along,
Yes,
even if it means admitting you were wrong.
absolutely. Munger believed that changing your mind based on new information was a sign of intelligence, not weakness.
Interesting.
Another key element is understanding how our own psychology works.
So how our emotions and biases can trip us up.
Exactly.
That Lollapalooza effect we talked about.
Yes, it's a perfect example of emotions hijacking rationality.
Right.
We need to be aware of these psychological traps, especially when excitement, fear, or social pressure might cloud our judgment.
So how do we do that? How do we guard against these traps?
This is where those mental models come in.
Okay.
They can really help us make sense of complex situations.
Okay.
One of Munger's favorites was the idea of inversion.
Inversion. Tell me more about that.
Instead of figuring out how to achieve a goal,
Okay.
ask yourself how you might cause the opposite outcome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you want to be successful, figure out how to avoid failure.
Exactly. By thinking about potential pitfalls, you can develop strategies to avoid them.
So it's like playing defense instead of always being on offense.
That's a great way to put it. Munger also loved the concept of margin of safety.
So like a buffer.
Yes.
Some extra room to protect yourself if things don't go according to plan.
Exactly. Whether it's investments, business decisions, or even major life choices.
Okay.
Build in that margin of safety.
So expect the unexpected and have a backup plan.
Right. And finally, never underestimate the power of patience. Munger was a long-term thinker.
Okay.
He believed the best outcomes often came from waiting for the right moment.
Resisting those get-rich-quick schemes
Yes.
and not giving into the pressure to make impulsive decisions.
Exactly. He often compared it to a batter waiting for the perfect pitch.
Discipline and waiting for that perfect moment to swing.
Yes.
What stands out to you most about his life?
For me, it's his emphasis on character and ethics.
Oh,
True success for him wasn't just about making money.
right.
It was about integrity, respect, and contributing to something larger than yourself.
Yeah, he walked the walk,
He did.
living modestly, giving back to society.
Absolutely.
He really believed in aligning financial goals with values, right?
He did, and his business philosophy reflected that.
Okay.
He believed that good businesses were ethical businesses.
Interesting.
A model based on trickery, he'd say, was doomed to fail.
So building trust, a
Yes.
solid reputation, that's what creates lasting success.
Exactly. And it's incredibly refreshing to hear someone of his stature
Yeah.
emphasizing ethics and values in business.
Absolutely. It shows that true success is holistic. It's about more than just the bottom line.
Now, we mentioned that he lived modestly.
The same house for 70 years.
Incredible.
Right. Amazing. What about his family life?
He was married twice
Okay.
and had 8 children.
Wow.
He clearly cherished family and intellectual pursuits.
And his interest in architecture.
Yes,
He designed several buildings,
he did.
even university dormitories.
Right, his curiosity and intellectual energy extended to so many areas of his life.
He was a true Renaissance man.
He really was.
Even though he lived to be 99, it feels like he never stopped growing and learning.
That's one of the most inspiring things about his story.
Yeah.
You're never too old to learn, grow, challenge yourself, and make a difference.
So his legacy of wisdom
Yes.
and unconventional thinking continues to inspire.
Speaking of legacy,
Yes.
let's delve into his partnership with Warren Buffett at Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay, their collaboration is legendary.
It is.
What's fascinating is that it wasn't just about making money.
Right.
It was about finding businesses they admired and believed in.
Companies with strong management,
Okay.
ethical practices,
hmm
and a long-term vision.
So they weren't chasing fads.
No,
They sought enduring value.
they do.
Companies that would stand the test of time.
Exactly, and that long-term approach was incredibly successful. Berkshire Hathaway is one of the most valuable companies in the world.
I think Munger's insights were crucial to that success.
Absolutely.
He brought his unique perspective and those mental models to every decision.
Yeah, so tell me more about their investment philosophy at Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah.
What guided their choices?
One principle was value investing.
Okay.
Learn from their mentor, Benjamin Graham.
Buying undervalued stocks.
Right, those hidden gems.
Yes, but they took it further.
Okay.
They weren't just looking for cheap stocks.
Right.
They sought high-quality businesses at reasonable prices.
So companies with a competitive edge,
Yes.
profitability, and trustworthy management.
Right. Paying a fair price for an excellent business was better than a bargain price for a mediocre one.
And their track record proves that
It does.
investments in Coca-Cola, American Express, and Geico.
Exactly. Another principle was focusing on what they understood.
Okay.
They stuck to their circle of competence, their areas of expertise.
Avoiding costly mistakes by sticking to what they knew.
Precisely. They understood it was better to say no to opportunities they didn't fully grasp
Okay.
than to risk capital on something unfamiliar.
Sometimes the best investments are the ones you don't make.
Absolutely. And their long-term focus was key.
Okay.
They built a portfolio for the long haul, not short-term profits.
Harnessing the power of compounding
Yes.
by holding investments for years, sometimes decades.
Exactly. They knew time was their greatest ally. Patience and steady growth over time built their wealth.
That must have taken discipline.
It did.
Tuning out the daily market ups and downs.
They weren't swayed by market fluctuations.
Okay.
They focused on the inherent value of their holdings.
That's a valuable lesson for any investor.
It is.
It's easy to get caught up in the hyper panic of the moment.
Right. Maintaining a level head and staying focused on your long-term goals is key.
Okay.
Take their investment in Coca-Cola,
Okay.
a classic example of their approach in action.
Yeah, one of their most famous
It is.
and successful investments.
They started buying Coca-Cola shares in 1988
Okay.
and built a significant position over the years.
Why do you think they were drawn to Coca-Cola?
Well, it's globally recognized and loved.
Yeah.
It's also something people consume regularly,
Right.
creating built-in demand.
Yeah. They recognized Coca-Cola's durable competitive advantages.
They did.
Strong brand, global reach, and a product people loved.
Absolutely. They understood its simple but powerful business model,
Yeah.
selling a product people want. over and over again.
And they were patient.
Very patient.
They didn't try to time the market.
Nope.
They just started buying and kept adding to their position.
Exactly.
And that patience paid off.
It did.
It's appreciated significantly and remains a core holding for Berkshire Hathaway.
Exactly. It showcases their philosophy.
Yeah.
Finding a high-quality business at a reasonable price, holding it long-term, and letting compounding do its work.
So what key takeaways from their approach
Yes.
can our listeners apply to their own portfolios?
First, do your research.
Okay.
Don't buy stock just because it's popular or someone recommended it.
Right. Read those financial statements. Understand the business. Know the competitive landscape.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to pass on what you don't fully understand.
Okay.
It's better to say no to 100 good opportunities than yes to one bad one.
It's like folding a good poker hand.
Right.
If the odds aren't in your favor.
Right. Think long-term. Don't get caught up in daily market swings.
Okay.
Find companies you believe will succeed in the next 5, 10, or even 20 years.
So once you find them,
Yes.
be patient.
Be patient. Let them grow and compound over time.
Now let's talk about Munger's unconventional political views.
All right.
He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, even within his own party.
He identified as Republican,
Okay.
but held some progressive views, particularly for his generation.
He was a strong advocate for single-payer health care, for example.
Right. He believed in healthcare for everyone, regardless of income or employment.
And he wasn't shy about criticizing the American healthcare system.
He wasn't.
Its complexity and inefficiencies.
He often compared it negatively to systems in Canada and Singapore, which he saw as more streamlined and cost-effective.
Again, he was willing to look beyond conventional wisdom.
He was.
And challenge the norm. Even if it meant disagreeing with his own party.
Exactly. He was an independent thinker, always forming his own conclusions.
And it's refreshing to see someone of his stature speak out on his beliefs, even when going against the grain.
Yeah, what about his thoughts on American culture?
Okay.
I know he was a bit wary of social media's impact.
He saw it as a double-edged sword.
He did.
Right, both beneficial and destructive.
Absolutely.
He was worried about the spread of misinformation,
Yes.
echo chambers, reinforcing biases, and the potential for manipulation.
It's true. Social media can be a powerful tool for both good and bad.
So what else concerned him?
He was worried about excessive screen time and its negative effects on mental health.
Okay.
And the decline of face-to-face interaction.
So he was calling for a more balanced approach to technology.
Exactly. Not rejecting technology, but using it more mindfully.
Right.
A message more relevant today than ever.
His insights are timeless. What about his philanthropic legacy?
Yeah.
He gave so much back, especially to education.
He donated significantly to universities like Stanford and the University of Michigan.
Wow.
Often focusing on architecture and spaces that fostered intellectual communities.
And he was so hands-on, he didn't just write checks.
No, he didn't.
He actively shaped the projects he funded.
He was known for his meticulousness, his attention to detail, and his willingness to challenge conventional thinking in philanthropy as well.
It's inspiring to see someone of his wealth and stature use their resources to impact others' lives positively.
Absolutely. His philanthropic legacy reminds us that success isn't just about accumulating wealth,
Right.
but about using it to create a better world.
Leaving a positive mark on society and contributing to something larger than yourself.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our exploration of Charles Munger's life and wisdom,
Yes.
what stands out as his most enduring legacy to you?
I think for me, it's his unwavering dedication to lifelong learning.
Yes.
His curiosity that spans so many fields.
Absolutely.
He never stopped seeking knowledge, questioning assumptions,
Right.
and expanding his understanding of the world.
A true model for all of us.
What about you? What stands out to you?
I'd say his emphasis on independent thinking.
Okay.
He wasn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom and form his own opinions, even if they were unpopular.
Right.
He was a true original.
Yeah.
A maverick who paved his own path.
And inspired countless others to do the same.
Absolutely. And his wisdom is so relevant today.
It is.
In our increasingly complex world.
Hey.
His insights on investing, business, human psychology, and life offer valuable guidance for navigating today's challenges and opportunities.
Okay, so what's a practical step our listeners can take this week to incorporate his wisdom into their own lives?
I think a simple but powerful step is to choose a book or article on a topic outside your usual area of interest.
Stepping outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
And exploring new ideas and perspectives.
Exactly. It could be history, science, philosophy, art, music,
Wow.
anything that sparks your interest.
Okay.
As you read, try to apply Munger's way of thinking. Question assumptions, look for connections,
Right.
and consider how those insights apply to your life or work.
So cultivating that intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Exactly. Who knows? You might discover a new passion or a new way of thinking that enriches your life in unexpected ways.
It's a wonderful way to honor the legacy of a man who never stopped learning and who believed that the pursuit of knowledge was one of life's greatest joys.
Well said.
Yeah, that's a great challenge for our listeners to honor Munger's legacy by expanding our own horizons.
Right. And it might just spark a lifelong journey of learning and discovery.
As we wrap up this look at the wisdom of Charles Munger, I'm left with a feeling of gratitude for all the insights he shared during his life.
He was a true gem.
He was.
A brilliant mind and incredibly generous. His legacy will continue to inspire for generations to come.
For our listeners who want to dive deeper,
Yes.
I highly recommend Poor Charlie's Almanac.
A classic.
It's a collection of his speeches, writings, and interviews, full of wit and wisdom.
A true treasure trove of insights into investing, business, and life.
And if you're interested in learning more about his partnership with Warren Buffett and their strategy at Berkshire Hathaway, there are tons of books and articles on that as well.
It's a fascinating look at long-term investing and business success.
And for those who prefer a more visual approach,
There's
a great documentary on HBO Max called Becoming Warren Buffett.
Oh, I love that one.
You get a glimpse into Munger's life and his relationship with Buffett.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to get to know the man behind the ideas.
Well, that brings us to the end of our exploration of the wisdom of Charles T. Munger.
Sad to see him go.
We hope you enjoyed this look into his life, his ideas, and his incredible legacy.
A true inspiration.
We hope you'll join us again for another fascinating exploration into the world of knowledge and ideas.
Sounds good.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get more priceless financial and business information.
Yes, do that.
We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay curious, keep learning.
Absolutely.
And until next time, remember Munger's words.
Okay.
It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent.
Words to live by.